In one photo, time seemed uninterrupted. A young uniformed soldier, Jadon, staring steadily ahead, his bride, Lena, leaning against him, her head resting on his shoulder. Their faces held the promise of a future that seemed right. But after 11 months in captivity, the picture shattered. He came back, but it was like he wasn't really there at all. He looked like a shadow of himself, thin and hollow-eyed, his body a roadmap of suffering. The same woman who just 11 months ago had clung onto him for a picture now had no strength left to hold on. She was fragile. He survived. However, surviving and living are not the same thing. There was no sky, he whispered to her once, his voice hoarse from disuse. Just concrete floors, cold water, scorching your skin, and nameless figures floating like ghosts. Nights counting not people, but shadows. At home, war followed. The darkness shook him. Sudden noises made him flinch. In the mirror, he sometimes saw not the man he was, but the prisoner he had been. She tried to reach him, to pull him back, to make him whole again with her love, her touch, her presence. But behind the locked door inside him, his answer was always the same. Don't come in. I still ain't out of there. And so the war went on. It wasn't on the battlefields, but in memories that refused to leave. Some wounds cut deeper than the flesh. And some wars, they never end. The days grew shorter, the nights colder. One evening, as twilight bled into night, Lena stood by the window, her silhouette a stark outline against the fading light. Her fingers traced the glass, her eyes distant, lost in the gathering darkness. Jadon watched her from their bed, his gaze intense, his body tensed, as if bracing for something. "What is it, Lena?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. She turned, her face etched with a sadness that mirrored his own. "I was just thinking," she began, her voice catching slightly, "about the day we met. How was it, 2 years ago, maybe?" Jadon nodded, a ghost of a smile touching his lips. He remembered that day vividly. The sun had been shining, birds had been singing, and she, as Lena, had been laughing, her eyes sparkling with life. He had felt a sense of certainty then that he had never known before. He knew he loved her, wanted to spend the rest of his life with her. "Do you remember the first time he saw you?" his mother had asked. Every day since, he'd replied, knowing it was true. Lena's laughter echoed in his memory, a painful reminder of the joy they once shared. "We were so happy," she whispered, more to herself than to him. "We were," Jadon agreed, the word hanging between them, heavy with unspoken emotions. A long silence fell, broken only by the ticking of the old grandfather clock in the corner. Outside, the wind picked up, rattling the window panes. "Do you ever feel like," Lena began, her voice shaking, "like it's all just a bad dream? That if I wake up, I'll be holding on to you again, and the nightmares will fade away?" Jadon turned away, unable to meet her gaze. He knew what she was asking. He knew the unspoken question that lingered in the air. "Do I still love her?" He heard himself say aloud, the words catching in his throat. How could he explain to her that even in the darkest depths of his despair, even when his hope had dwindled to a flicker, he had clung to the memory of their love? How could he make her understand that it was that love, that memory, that had kept him going? Turning back to face her, his eyes searching hers, he whispered, "This isn't a dream, Lena. I'm here. We're together. It's real." He reached out, wanting to touch her, to assure her, but she flinched away as if afraid of his touch. "I know," she whispered, tears glistening in her eyes. "I just needed to hear you say it." He wanted to tell her that loving her had been his solace, his strength, his reason for enduring. He wanted to tell her that their love story wasn't over, but the words wouldn't come. All he could manage was, "I'm sorry," as the first rays of dawn touched the horizon, casting long shadows across the room. They lay together, not as man and wife, but as two wounded souls, seeking solace in shared pain, united in a grief that threatened to consume them both.